Back to his memories. He was born into a family of only women. He was the first male in 370 years, locked in a cage, treated kindly in a way that felt disgusting. Every night, he heard something big crawling, making him unable to sleep in fear. At 12, they brought him to a grand room where the truth revealed in front of him. He meet the snake-bodied demon, worshipped by his family, who gives babies to her as a sacrifice so she can devour them instead. But she let Obanai to live because of his rare eyes fascinated her, while she ordered them to cut his mouth so he can match hers, and they did. She drank his blood. At that time, he only wanted to live and planned to escape using a stolen hairpin and trusting only Kaburamaru, the snake that stayed with him those times. He fled, but the snake demon chased him. Just as death closed in, Rengoku saved him. Things went well until he met his surviving cousin, who cursed him, saying it was his fault everyone died. From that day, he vowed to kill demons and save others, but the guilt stayed. That's why he must kill Muzan and die. Only then he can be reborn in a pure body so he can tell Kanroji he loved her. As the fight between Obanai and Muzan continues, he struggles to dodge the deadly, relentless strikes, but he pushes on, so their allies' sacrifices can't be in vain. Nearby, Gyu drops his sword, his grip weakened by Muzan's poison. As Muzan moves in to finish him, Obanai and Himejima block the blow just in time. Gyu, emotional but resolute, rises again. He's a Hashira, as Muzan mocks them, declaring they'll all collapse within 5 minutes as the poison finishes them off. Just as hope fades, a cat leaps onto a rooftop. It was Tamayo's cat, carrying vials. It throws the antidote to the fighters below. Muzan slashes it down, furious, but it's too late. The antidote works on the Hashiras and the poison fades. Muzan rages, realizing Tamayo still defies him even in death. He calls them all obsessed freaks and begins tearing through the city. Obanai recalls a crow's report on Tokito when he knows he turned his blade red by gripping it tightly while having the mark and standing at death's edge. Obanai mirrors that he's in the same position, and finally he's awakened and the mark in his blade burns red, but that means he walks the path of death. As Obanai's blade burns red, he realizes that his body fails because he's out of breath and his vision is fading, his limbs numb, while only his hand can still grab the sword. As Muzan strikes, Obanai stands frozen until, in a flash, he soars upward, and Muzan's arm is sliced clean off. Muzan senses it wasn't Obanai who did that. It's something unseen. He got another strike that definitely wasn't from the Hashiras, so he scans the battlefield and realizes 3 people are cloaked nearby, hidden by Tamayo's technique. With a swift slash, the veil breaks, revealing Kanao, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, now joining the battle. Zenitsu's back still crying, while Obanai, regaining control and slashing Muzan with his incomplete red blade, making Muzan's regeneration slow. The trio continues hiding using the same papers, frustrating Muzan, who calls their tactics pathetic tricks. Meanwhile, Himejima seizes the moment, making his weapon ignites red and strikes Muzan's shoulder, making him impressed. Sanemi and Gyu clash their blades, causing their own blades to turn red and launching a counterattack against Muzan when it's only 1 hour and 3 minutes until dawn. As Tanjiro was near death, Yushiro with the Kakushi tried to heal him, impressed by how Tanjiro refused to let go of his sword, even when he collapsed. At that moment, Tanjiro finally opened his eyes, knowing well what he needed to do. Back on the battlefield, the Hashiras fought desperately, as Sanemi used Tamayo's cloaking technique against Muzan, while Himejima tried to see through Muzan like he did Kokushibo, as he saw multiple hearts and brains shifting locations. He called Obanai, urging him to see it too. Obanai unlocked the transparent world. Feeling cornered, Muzan exploded with rage, destroying the battlefield. The Hashiras and the others lay scattered and bloodied. Kanao stood frozen as Muzan tried to finish her, but suddenly, a blazing wall of Hinokami Kagura erupted. Tanjiro cut Muzan's arm, protecting Kanao, and leaving it to Kakushi, and turning back to Muzan with angry eyes, Muzan saw Yoriichi's ghost in Tanjiro. As Tanjiro tells Muzan to put an end to this fight as the final battle begins. After seeing his ancestors' memories, Tanjiro noticed small mistakes in his own moves, comparing it to Yoriichi moves when he showed his sword style to Suyako, and how Sumiyoshi watched and remembered every step. Before Yoriichi left, he gave his earrings to Sumiyoshi, as he shouted that Yoriichi is not a man of no worth because he protected them. Yoriichi smiled and waved goodbye, after Sumiyoshi promised him to pass down his sword style and earning. Even though Tanjiro isn't from Yoriichi's family, he had his earrings, his sword style, and his mark. By this way, back in the fight, Tanjiro realized all 12 forms are connected. If he uses them one after another, he can create the 13th form and kill Muzan. But he has 2 big problems. He's not as talented as his dad or Yoriichi, and he doesn't know how to stop Muzan from exploding. Still, he keeps fighting. Muzan sees Yoriichi's ghost in Tanjiro and gets angry. His body changes, attacking in crazy ways, but Tanjiro keeps going, linking every move together toward the final form. As Tanjiro and Muzan kept fighting, Muzan noticed that Tanjiro's blade had turned red without Nezuko's help. Even though Tanjiro was close to death, he did it on his own, but Muzan didn't care. He said it's still not close to Yoriichi's level. Tanjiro had already linked 6 forms, but he was badly hurt. Still, he didn't stop, as Muzan couldn't understand why he couldn't finish off a human who was tired and poisoned. Tanjiro's speed stayed the same, while Muzan was getting slower. That's when he realized Tamayo must have done something to him. He tried to ask her, but she refused to tell him, so he dug deeper into her memories. We then see how Tamayo, Shinobu, and Yushiro made a special drug. If it didn't turn Muzan into a human, it would age him 50 years per minute. By now, Muzan had aged 9,000 years, while the dawn was still 59 minutes away. Tanjiro burned with determination, keeping pressure on Muzan. He had now linked all 12 forms and had to repeat them again and again until sunrise. As Yushiro and the Kakushi rushed to the injured Hashira to heal them, Yushiro ran to Himejima and was shocked. He had lost so much blood, so he knew that without the strongest Hashira, Tanjiro can't hold Muzan until dawn. He started crying, begging Himejima to stay alive and protect Tanjiro, while doing everything he could to heal him. Back at the fight, Tanjiro tried to use all 12 forms to cut Muzan's hearts and brains. He wanted to enter the transparent world, but he was running out of oxygen, and his vision started going black. And as Muzan tries to kill him, suddenly, Obanai saved him again, pulling him away from Muzan's attack. And seeing Obanai's face was badly cut, but he didn't stop. He used his snake, Kaburamaru, to know Muzan's attacks and dodged them and threw Tanjiro away while Muzan got angry, destroying all over the place. He did get angrier seeing someone avoid him without even seeing and using a snake. Then Tanjiro noticed something strange. Scars on Muzan's body, the same ones Yoriichi gave him long ago. Muzan still couldn't heal them. That's when Tanjiro realized Yoriichi was still guiding him toward victory. When Muzan first faced Yoriichi, he looked weak with no killing intent, yet Yoriichi still cut him, leaving wounds that burned like the sun even after centuries, as he proved that Yoriichi was the true monster. However, when Muzan heard there was still only 40 minutes until dawn, he ran away while Tanjiro was in shock. He screams to Obanai, informing him as he couldn't see, but Obanai wasn't surprised knowing that Muzan has no pride, only the instinct to survive. At that moment, Tanjiro chases him, reaching a place where the Kakushi lies dead. Muzan crushes their bodies without care, enraging Tanjiro, who throws swords at him, doing everything to stop him. Muzan says the blade slashes are weak, but deep thrusts hurt more. Suddenly, Obanai joins in, stabbing his red blade into Muzan's neck, forcing him down. Tanjiro hands Obanai the paper to turn invisible and fight properly. Obanai uses it as both know they can't let Muzan escape at this point, while Muzan, gasping and drained, tries to flee, but they block his path. As Nezuko runs toward the city, she starts turning human. Her face begins to change as memories flood back to when her family got killed by Muzan that night and gave her blood to turn her into a demon, but he thought she'd die, saying he can't create a demon that can conquer the sun. While she remembers Tanjiro, her promise with Tanjiro to protect her no matter what, their friends, and everything they've been through. Crying, she recalls her name while her eyes turn normal as Nezuko is fully human again. Back in the fight, Tanjiro battles on, while Muzan senses the Hashira are still alive thanks to Yushiro's help. As he hears there's only 35 minutes until dawn, he tries to explode like he did to escape Yoriichi back then. Tanjiro warns Obanai about it, while panicking about stopping him because even Yoriichi couldn't manage to do it. But Muzan suddenly can't split himself apart as he was shocked. Tamayo appears, revealing she poisoned him with 4 drugs, mocking him by saying the death he feared the most is now before his eyes. Tamayo didn't need to be stronger than Muzan. She just had to make him weak. As he did anything to survive, she was able to do everything to kill him. Though the red blades were useless, the drugs made them deadly, pushing him near death. Trying to break down the drugs, Muzan unleashed a massive shockwave, knocking down Tanjiro and Obanai and destroying everything around. Tanjiro couldn't even move or think. The blast even reached Ubuyashiki's hidden place, who was shocked at Muzan's power despite his weakened state. Muzan tried to escape again but was stopped by Inosuke. Too tired to use his powers, Muzan faced Inosuke, who demanded he pay for everyone he hurt or killed. As Muzan attacked, he was so close to finishing him, but Zenitsu protected him and joined to hold him off. At that moment, Tanjiro forced his red blade into his body to stop the shock, while Muzan couldn't even lift his arms as he sensed the Hashira's return, still standing again and again until their last breath. As Inosuke and Zenitsu fight Muzan to hold him till the dawn, Zenitsu uses his 7th form, but it doesn't cut deep because he was definitely tired. Also, Inosuke attacks too, but Muzan hits him with a shock, making him unable to move. And as Muzan tries to finish him, Tanjiro joins by cutting off his arms, protecting Inosuke, and keeps fighting. Inosuke gets back up to help, and Zenitsu slashes Muzan from behind, but again the slash isn't deep though he's too tired to move fast. The same attacks repeat until Tanjiro pushes Muzan into a corner, holding him with his sword to the wall. At that moment, Muzan tries to strike back, but Mitsuri grabs and destroys his arms before he can land the hit. But Muzan hits her, then goes back to Tanjiro, but Sanemi cuts Muzan's arms and pins it to the wall. Suddenly, Muzan then tries to eat Tanjiro with his head, but Obanai jumps in and sacrifices himself. As the Hashira screams, to hold it a little bit more more as the first light of dawn appears, shining across the battlefield. As Muzan sees the sun rising, he screams, launching another shock attack, destroying the place and throwing everyone away, except Tanjiro, who loses his left arm but keeps holding his sword until he crumbles away, trying to make it turn red. But suddenly, Giyu grabs the sword and helps him, turning it red and pushing Muzan to the wall. Muzan starts bleeding as the sun burns him. Then, he transforms into a giant baby to escape. He absorbs Tanjiro and Giyu, but Tanjiro pushes Giyu out, staying inside Muzan alone. Muzan runs while burning, but the Kakushi's helps by blocking his path, following Ubuyashiki's plan to stop him without more deaths. Sanemi cuts off Muzan's arms, and Himejima wraps chains around his head, dragging him into the sun with Kakushi's help. At that moment, Himejima's chain breaks while the giant baby tries to dig underground, but Tanjiro's red blade inside him forces him to spit blood. Giyu, Sanemi, and Obanai keep attacking, while giant baby screams one last time before the sun finally burns him to ashes. As Muzan's monstrous form burns in the sun, everyone celebrates, crying in relief, thinking the battle is over. But something feels wrong. At the same time, Himejima lies dying. He remembers the children who got killed, revealing they tried to protect him despite being blind. They apologize, saying they didn't run. They tried to grab weapons or help, and some chased Kaigaku. Himejima dies with tears and a smile. Elsewhere, Obanai cradles Mitsuri. She says she can't feel her body, meaning she's near death. Obanai gently confesses his love, and Mitsuri, crying, asks if they can be together in the next life. He promises to protect her then, for sure. Sanemi sees visions of his family in a peaceful place. His mother, full of guilt, refuses to cross over. Just as Sanemi decides to follow her to hell, his father throws him back, saying his time didn't come yet because he is his son. Sanemi wakes up alive, while Inosuke and Zenitsu are being treated. Giyu searches, only to find Tanjiro motionless, not breathing. Everyone breaks down in tears. Giyu holds his hand, apologizing for not protecting him, as Nezuko arrives at their place. As the ancestor of demons is now on the brink of death, Muzan crumbles in the sun while he recalls his birth, how his heart stopped several times in his mother's belly, also how he was born not breathing, thought to be dead, until he cried from struggle, while he knew that all the creatures will face death unexpectedly, like what Ubuyashiki said to him, and that is what he fears the most. Knowing the sunlight would end him, Muzan makes a final move. He refuses to vanish, so he pours all his blood, power, and emotions into Tanjiro's lifeless body. His heart has stopped, but his cells remain. Believing that Tanjiro can conquer the sun because he shares the same blood with his sister Nezuko, and because she conquered the sun, he could too, while saying if it works, Tanjiro will become the strongest king of demons because he wields the same breath as Yoriichi, the only man Muzan ever feared, leaving everything to him while he vanished. Back to the battle scene, Tanjiro's eyes snap open, demonic red. His face and arm heal instantly. He attacks the Kakushi in a blur, but Giyu protects him just in time, as Kamado Tanjiro is now the new demon king. After Tanjiro becomes the new king of demons, Giyu orders the Kakushi to get away from him, while Tanjiro attacks another Kakushi, but the sunlight starts burning him like any other demon. At that moment, Giyu shouts for help, ordering the others to bring their swords as he informs them that Tanjiro turned into a demon and they must kill him before he kills someone. Tanjiro tries to hide in the dark, but Giyu pins him down with his sword while begging him to die as Tanjiro. Suddenly, he saw Tanjiro conquering the sun and slashes Giyu in his mouth. Just as he's about to finish him, Inosuke stops him, but Tanjiro attacks him, while Zenitsu, emotionless, breaks down, saying it's too much, and everyone is too weak to fight after the battle with Muzan. As Tanjiro charges at Inosuke, Inosuke says Tanjiro is like his brother and promises to stop him if needed so they can all walk to the right path. But as he remembers Tanjiro's kindness, Inosuke hesitates. With his blade near Tanjiro's neck, he can't cut him, saying he just can't do it while crying because they were buddies after all. As Inosuke hesitates to kill Tanjiro, Nezuko runs to hug him, but Tanjiro, who is now a demon, can't feel anything. He digs his fingers and teeth into her. Nezuko cries, begging for forgiveness, saying she didn't understand his pain while he suffered alone. Tanjiro shows no emotion, screaming while hurting her. Zenitsu, Inosuke, and the Kakushi rush to pull him away from her, but he unleashes a shockwave, throwing them all back. Tanjiro now looks like Muzan, with bones sprouting from his back. He attacks Zenitsu, but Giyu blocks him. Giyu panics, realizing nothing can defeat Tanjiro now, not even sunlight or red blades. Tanjiro fires another shockwave from his mouth, but Nezuko redirects it with her hand, making it all bloody. At that moment, Giyu notices Tanjiro didn't kill Nezuko and realizes he's still fighting inside to not hurt them. Meanwhile, Yushiro watches helplessly because of the sunlight. Just then, Kanao runs in, remembering the medicine that Shinobu gave her, the same they used on Nezuko. Kanao uses her final form to inject it into Tanjiro's back. She gets hit at the same time, but she succeeds, while Tanjiro finally starts to wake up. While everyone tries to save Tanjiro, inside his mind he cries, wanting to go home with Nezuko. Muzan holds him back, saying there's no point, everyone is dead. But Tanjiro says their memories live on, and Nezuko is still alive. Muzan lies, saying Nezuko is dead, but Tanjiro knows the truth. His family's hands guide him up. As Muzan continues saying everyone hates him, but Tanjiro can smell their worry and wants to apologize for what he did. Muzan tries again, warning he'll die soon from the mark. But Tanjiro chooses to die human. Muzan screams, calling him trash, but the Hashira's hands lift him, and Nezuko's hand reaches for him. Muzan begs him to stay and carry his will, but Tanjiro says those people risked their life to protect others, not letting them fall in the same pain they've been through, while Hands pulls him up as Muzan begs not to be left behind. However, Tanjiro wakes up, surrounded by everyone. Nezuko cries in relief, Zenitsu yells at him, and Giyu is barely standing. Tanjiro finds Kanao alive, both smiling in tears. Yushiro hides, crying with Tamayo's hairpin, saying, "It's finally over." 3 months after defeating Kibutsuji Muzan, we see the four still healing, and the world is now free of demons, though it came at the cost of many lives. Tanjiro's hand has become wrinkled like an old man's. He can only move it up and down but can't feel anything. He also lost sight in his right eye, which had regenerated like his arm when he became a demon. After that, we see Yushiro explains that Tanjiro only returned to being human because of two things: biting Nezuko first and receiving Shinobu's medicine. Without either, it wouldn't have worked. He calls them lucky and thanks Tanjiro before leaving. As he walks away, Tanjiro asks him not to die, since he's the only one left who can keep Tamayo's memory alive, and wishes him well, still feeling worried about him. At the Ubuyashiki estate, we see Sanemi and Giyu meet with Kiriya and his two sisters for the final Hashira meeting, as the Demon Slayer Corps is being disbanded. They thank them for their efforts, while Giyu says that all their ancestors, including his father, would be proud of their work, which makes the children cry and thank him with deep emotion. After the demon hunters defeat Muzan, we see Tanjiro still healing, while Tengen and his wives visit him, joined by the Rengoku family. As Shinjuro thanks Tanjiro for holding Kyojuro's hilt during battle, saying that Kyojuro is surely happy seeing him doing that. Then, the Hayotoko brigade arrives to check on Tanjiro, along with the Kakushis too. That's when Inosuke sneaks away from the room and heads to the kitchen, where he finds Aoi cooking. So he steals food, thinking he's invisible, but Aoi notices him, and yells at him to stop stealing as she gives him a full plate, telling him he can eat as much as he wants, whenever he wants. In that moment, we see Inosuke start falling in love with her. Elsewhere, we see Kanao looking at the blossoming tree, and Tanjiro joins her, and they both begin falling in love too. Tanjiro asks her about her vision and wounds, and she replies that she's fine. She didn't lose all her vision. She also says that Sanemi visited her and gave her Obanai's snake a moment ago, as we see everything goes fine now. After Sanemi visited Kanao and gave her Obanai's snake, he met Nezuko on his way to leave, seeing her speak to him normally for the first time. So he apologized for how he treated her back in season 1, and how things didn't go as planned as he was sleeping after Muzan was defeated and Tanjiro became a demon. But Nezuko didn't mind. She kept speaking kindly, saying she's been sleeping for 2 years and that she loves sleeping, reminding him of his younger brother Genya, who loves sleeping too. As he tapped her head and told her to take care, Zenitsu was hiding nearby, spying on them as he got jealous for her. Later, Nezuko and Tanjiro meet with Giyu and Urokodaki, then go to visit the graves, placing flowers for everyone who died. As they go to their family home, praying to their family graves, and cleans the place, showers, and eat together in joy until night. Time flows into the modern age, and the Demon Slayer story is officially complete now. Did you know that all the Demon Slayer characters were reincarnated after Muzan was defeated? As time flows into the modern age, we see a boy named Kanata, who looks exactly like Kanao, trying to wake up his brother Sumihiko, who looks just like Tanjiro, confirming that Tanjiro and Kanao got married after the battle. Then we see Yoshiteru, a boy who resembles Zenitsu but with black hair, reading a book about the Demon Slayer Corps' journey, written by his Zenitsu as he get emotional, while his sister Tuko kicks him from behind, scolding him to stop reading the book and to focus on exams that he failed. Clearly, those two reflect Zenitsu and Nezuko, meaning Yoshiteru and Tuko are their descendants. Even though she thinks the stories are just lies, Yoshiteru still believes in the history of demons and the sacrifices made, especially reincarnation, saying that everyone who fought against demons is now living a happy life. But Tuko just didn't care as she take her phone, and we see Uzui appears on TV as a 20-yo famous gymnastics athlete, still rude as usual, showing that even in a modern world, they still got their own personality. After Yoshiteru expresses his belief in Zenitsu's book, his sister brushes it off as nonsense. Then, on the news, Yoshiteru sees a researcher who looks exactly like Inosuke, his reincarnation. The researcher had been studying the blue spider lily for 7 months. The flower blooms only 2 to 3 times a year during the day, which is why Muzan never found it. They all withered due to a careless mistake, and the team apologized on TV. Yoshiteru felt bad, but his sister told him the researcher was actually a man. He instantly changed his tone, saying they should just die, as his sister says he just like Zenitsu. Later, a woman walks by with twin babies, the reincarnations of Tokito and his brother. Kanai and Shinobu also pass by, their scent making Yoshiteru fall in love. Meanwhile, his sister meets Kanata and they click immediately, clearly in love. On the way to school, they pass Himajima's reincarnation, still huge and intimidating. Finally, they go to eat at a shop run by Mitsuri and Obanai's reincarnations. Kanata says someone stared at Mitsuri, and Obanai threw a knife at him. That someone was Yoshiteru. Back to the Kamado family, we see Sumihiko just waking up, already late. He blames his brother brother for not waking him up and quickly gets dressed. He jumps out the window, showing off his incredible flexibility. As he runs, he passes by the house of the reincarnations of Zenitsu's grandfather and Urokodaki, who both yell at him for doing this every single day. He keeps running and passes the three sisters who were always seen at Shinobu's hospital. They call him the Running Man as he zips by again. As Sumihiko continues his dash, a police car suddenly blocks his way. He dodges it using his flexible body and apologizes. But the cops turn out to be the reincarnations of Genya and Sanemi, who get angry after realizing this is the same kid they've received 7 reports about. While Sumihiko questions if he'll make it in time, he passes by the reincarnation of Giyu and his 2 friends. The girl among them seems to be in love with Giyu. Meanwhile, a high school student pulls out a picture of a beautiful woman. Yoshiteru explains that this painting was made by a mysterious man, none other than Yushiro, the former demon. He continues to paint the same beautiful woman, Tamayo. Despite his fame, Yushiro refuses to give interviews back to Sumihiko, who meets the reincarnation of Kyojuro, now named Tojuro. He's also late, having stayed up until 4 a.m. As they run to school, the police follow Sumihiko for his reckless actions, telling him to stop, but he doesn't hear them because he's listening to Tojuro. As we know, Sumihiko is very lazy. He'd rather sleep than join any school club. As they approach the gate, we see the reincarnation of the legendary Murata, who wants to close the gates early, 3 minutes before the bell, because he's tired of their last-minute rushes. But like always, they jump over the gate and get in, leaving Murata in shock. The police finally reach the gate and, with an intimidating look, ask Murata for the time. Meanwhile, the reincarnation of Inosuke is just as wild as ever. After learning he might be fired from his research job, he considers living alone in the mountains instead. In the final scene, Kanao answers a phone call and learns her son has caused trouble. We then see Kamado's Hanafuda earrings and photos of the fallen Demon Slayer Corps, now smiling in peace as the world is finally free from demons.